Hello, I'm Kelly Odell, and this is the fourth of my 10 commandments for imperfect leaders. This commandment says, keep in mind that losing your job is not the worst thing that can happen. Sometimes it could be the best thing. This commandment is all about taking risk. If you looked at my third commandment and I said, don't get yourself in an economic situation where you can't afford to tell your company to go to hell, I would see that as more of a recommendation. What you do with your money and how you live is up to you. You don't have to do that commandment, but I would say you have to do number 4. And if you do number 3, number 4 is going to be easier to live with. If you create that buffer, you're going to have an easier time taking the risk. I've worked with people, maybe even I've been a victim of this myself, where hanging on to your job becomes an all-consuming priority. But that's not the point. The point of a working life, the point of a career is not to keep your job, it's to create something that's bigger than yourself. Life's just too short to get yourself locked into something where you don't take risks. And as a manager, in fact, I would argue that all employees are paid to take risks. But as a manager, you have to take bigger ones. I've worked in big companies most of my working life, and I've sat in a lot of discussions that on the surface sound reasonable, but when you really dig into them, they're insane. I've sat in discussions where we've talked about how do we minimize risk. I've even sat in discussions, how do we eliminate risk from our business? But I learned already in business school many years ago that the higher the risk, the higher the return. What would happen if we minimized or, God forbid, eliminated risk? What happens to the returns? The reality is we're all paid to take risks. Now here's the point where I usually have to clarify for people. I differentiate between taking risks and being stupid. Jumping from an airplane with a parachute and the proper training is risky, but it gives a high return in the sense that it's a lot of fun. Jumping from an airplane without a parachute and with no training is not risky, it's just stupid. As the risk gets closer and closer to 100% that it's going to go to hell, it stops becoming a risk and just becomes sheer stupidity. And I'm all for eliminating stupidity from our business. But we have to take risks. We have to have experienced, competent, skilled people making judgments, making calls. Sometimes they'll work out and sometimes they won't. That's part of business life.